Thank you very much, Rame Busikando audience. I am coming to you from the Entebbe Expressway here in Katavi Town Council, Wakiso District, when we're still, of course, speaking matters politics, but for the laws of our beloved Speaker Jacob Olanya, we still send condolences to the family, friends, and the beloved ones. And of course, as we wait for his body to return home, there is a lot more to discuss on docket, especially here in matters politics. Who should replace the beloved man, the man who has done a job that everyone thinks whoever will take on should pick it from where he has left it. We know very well that yesterday the Central Executive Committee for the ruling party, which is the National Resistance Movement, endorsed the, let me say, former Deputy Speaker, that is Anita Among, to be fronted as a candidate for this. But we know there were more other 13, the two opposition also, who are still vying for this position. But if you can tell from the comments what more other, groups, especially the Acholi group that had also fronted their own and saying the speakership position was for the northern Uganda, so it should come back. But that perhaps could be sending a message that tribal politics has come to the forefront. Last time we saw when the governor of Bank of Uganda also passed on, people from Kabale were saying that the position has been for the people of Kabale, so whoever takes over should be coming from that region. But I want to get this from an academia point of view, and I am joined by Dr. Anita Among. She's the Peace and Security with International Relations. She's an expert to just make us understand. And Doctor, welcome with me on NTV.
Thank you, Ivan. Good morning.
Yeah. We saw yesterday the Central Executive Committee of the NRM coming out to front Anita Among as the candidate to take over the speakership, and they said she had kept the parliament together. But we saw more other groups that were also vying for the same position. What does this mean to the ruling party?
Yes, first I think that as a nation we have rushed so quick to think of the Jacob's replacement. We have seen other positions that have run vacant and gone for months without being replaced.
Yeah, but provided for in the Constitution, no business should go on if the speaker is not around.
True, no business should go on when the speaker is not around, yes. And we have seen as many candidates come up to contest for the position. Unfortunately, as much as the Acholi sub-region has said it should go back to them, it seems not to be going back to them for reasons that the ruling party and the nation has seen Anita run parliament without Jacob, actually ever since. It's basically been Anita. So if we ask, are we returning to regional considerations in terms of who should replace, I think who should replace Jacob is someone who is competent, not about the region. But you see, we run our politics based on demands of ethnicity, of identification in terms of tribal inclination, in terms of region. So for whatever considerations they had made at first to take Jacob as a speaker, then the Acholi sub-region has a reason to demand for a replacement from the same region. But for what we see is that the NRM has, the executive committee has made a decision, and they have gone for someone who is not from the sub-region. So yes, the demands are there, but it is unfortunate that it won't be going back to them. But also fortunate on the other part, especially for the nation, that we don't have to always look at regional inclinations, but we should be looking at competence and the capacity of the individual to drive the nation ahead.
Dr. Baho, this is not the first time we're seeing tribes, let me say, tribes coming up or regions claiming positions. We saw this from the governor of Bank of Uganda when he died. A speech was made and somebody says this position had been kept in Kabale for some time. So for whatever considerations to be made, Kabale should be given a priority because the governor hails from the region.
Yes, but it shows you a bit how backward, if I should say, our kind of political thinking is. Because we have seen people mobilize themselves even without death. For instance, if you remember the insecurity, a group also from southwestern Uganda mobilized themselves and came to the president and said, you must pardon our son, or else we are, we have already supported you. I wouldn't want to go there, but those who have been following Uganda's politics know. And then things seemed to take a different path. And then we saw the death of the governor, and the same sentiments came up. You know, if you must replace, it should be someone from the region. And then now we have the speaker, and the sub-region is also demanding for a replacement from the... But you see, whether we make a replacement from the sub-region, I saw one of the key persons in opposition saying, you know, the government should be considerate, should not forget the late speaker's children. But whether you put someone from the region does not necessarily mean that the children's, you know, the children of the late are going to be taken care of. It's no guarantee. So again, we should be looking for someone who can, you know, wear the shoes of Jacob for who he was, a competent, a knowledgeable, a national figure, someone that has contributed in terms of advice, in terms of peace, in terms of other forms of development. So the contributions he had made at the schools, more as it was. You saw the church, among other things.
But Dr. NRM itself says they have an elevation process. For example, if you see Jacob Olanyo, he was the deputy speaker, and now Anita Among, the elevated deputy speaker to the position of the speaker. In a by the way thinking, you may have a say that a chance to other new people whose competence can be tested are not given chance.
I think it is a demonstration of privilege. Power and privilege in politics, that those who have access to power also have access to privilege, because I don't think it is written anywhere that the deputy speaker should automatically go on as the speaker, but it has since become a norm, and so we are following the usual practice. Right from, I think, Ayume's departure, and Sekandi takes up, and Kadaga takes up, and so it has become part of the usual. We actually expect it. In fact, for the kind of politics that we have, if Anita doesn't take up, you know, we could now begin to question, why Anita now? Why Anita now? Why not Anita now? Sorry, not why Anita now. Why not Anita now? Because we have made it part of us that we don't even have to think otherwise, that when the speaker is gone, or you know, her term is over, it is automatically.
But are we now seeing the northern people, the Acholi group, getting divided? Are we seeing that they now feel they're being betrayed in this whole process?
I don't think it is about betrayal. Like I said, if we must replace...
Because they have not been considered.
Yes, but they have considered. It's just that luck has not been on their side, because if Jacob hadn't gone, then they would have been. They were already considered. And that's why I said at the beginning that for whatever reasons the government considered in pushing for Jacob before, then the Acholi sub-region has reason to demand. If it was regional balance, yes, they have reason to demand. But if we are looking for someone who is competent to drive this nation forth, then we don't need to look into the region. We need to look nationally, but also bearing in mind who those who have been there before have come from. Maybe if they must be considered, should Anita take it, which is most likely, then maybe they could be considered for the second position. I think, yes, we need to balance in terms of positions and service to this nation for the people and the regions that they represent. But it also shows you the kind of politics that we have. So now we have Jacob gone. He has left 3 positions vacant. You know, so the nation has to incur all those costs because someone was occupying 3 positions in one. So I don't know if that is what we are going to keep operating by, that you are an MP, you are a minister, you are, you know, you occupy, and that's why I was saying it's about power and privilege. The more you access power, the more privilege.
But you also said it earlier that it does not sound well, especially for this short time. Someone has just died, and we need to take on elections again, or to have another speaker and say, do you think it is time the constitution be amended so that it does not bring out the image that you earlier said doesn't sound well?
Well, I think
still in the US.
I think we need to rethink. It seems there had been no imagination that a speaker could die, you know, shortly after being put into position. We may need to rethink our constitution and what it says about such key positions. Yes, morally, traditionally, it is unfortunate that even before his body is flown back home, we don't know if it will be successfully flown back home, but we hope so. You know, people have already run to replace him. And unfortunately, the immediate is now, vying for the same position. So the African tradition will tell you what's wrong with these people. It's just an indication of the nature, how man is naturally. We are selfish, we want the best for ourselves. But also it demonstrates that politics is just a game. You're in today, tomorrow you're out. And your departure does not stop the nation from running. We must somehow continue to go.
Well, for time reasons, Doctor, we'll leave it there, but thank you very much for making time to speak to us.
Thank you, Ivan, and I wish you the best of that day.
Well, Annie Abaho is a peace and relations expert, also with the security, just painting for us what it should have been like, especially for the position of the speaker. We know very well that the government chief whip, that's Thomas Tayeba, came out to say that those who are not considered for the speaker position will be given a chance, especially for the NRM, to rally for the deputyship. But we also know that elections are tomorrow, and we hope to see who will come through and replace Jacob Olanya, the man everybody's talking about as a uniting figure in Parliament. Well, for time reasons, I'll leave it here. Rame Busiku, back to you in the studio. A very good morning to you and our audience.
And a very good morning to you, my comrade Ivan Wallen. Thank you for that last segment. And with that, we've come to the end of Morning at NTV. To you, the kings, the queens, the boys and girls who are celebrating their birthdays on this opportune day, we'd just like you to be cognizant of the fact that COVID-19 is pretty much still here. You need to be wearing a face mask and social distancing. Good morning.
Pick out the Gataonera coupon. Go to message